Hey fight fans, Carmen Colosimo here with your boxing and MMA weekend recap for the days of September 22nd and September 23rd. Let's hop right in and review everything that happened this week. On Friday night, we had a couple good boxing fights as well as a UFC card. So let's get right to it. The first fight that was really worth paying attention to of the night was for the WBO 168-pound title between Gilberto Ramirez and Jesse Hart. Very good fight, guys. A lot better than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be kind of a boring, sluggish fight where both men do a lot of clinching, a lot of holding. Gilberto Ramirez showed to be a lot more aggressive, a lot better than I thought he would be. Jesse Hart looked good at spots in the fight. I thought as the fight carried on, it got into the 9th, 10th rounds, actually when Jesse Hart looked a little bit better, but by then Ramirez had piled up too many points. And Gilberto Ramirez won a decision victory over Hart, overall really dominating the fight and retaining his 168-pound WBO world title. What's next, you ask, for Gilberto Ramirez? You'd like to see him unify the belt. I wrote down here on my notepad that you can't see. See, weekend recap. It'd be cool to see him fight James DeGale, unify the WBC. Somebody else, I mean, even maybe a Callum Smith after the World Boxing Super Series is over. But we'd like to see Gilberto Ramirez fight somebody better than Arthur Abraham or Jesse Hart. It's time to step up the level of competition and fight some better opposition. On to the main event of Friday night's card in Tucson. It was for the WBO featherweight title. It was between Oscar Valdez and Genesis Sarvagna. A fight that I quite frankly thought Oscar Valdez was going to dominate through and through. I had watched the film on both men. I thought Sarvagna was game, but I didn't think he'd be able to take the punching power of Valdez. And Valdez did put him on the mat once, but what was even more surprising was Sarvagna put Valdez on the mat once in this fight, caught Valdez pulling back, I believe it was in the fourth or fifth round that was. Really good, entertaining fight. You saw some holes in Valdez's game in this fight, where you saw him keeping his hands down for too long, turning his head towards big shots, and Sarvagna gave Valdez all he could handle. But Valdez would do enough to retain his title in his backyard of Tucson, Arizona, won a decision victory, and kept his WBO featherweight title. Now, what's next for Valdez? Another champion you'd like to see unify some belts or fight some better competition. Now, he's had some good competition. I mean, Miguel Mariaga was good. A few other fights going back to his initial title run. Has fought some top quality opposition, but there are opponents. Abner Maris, Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz, even Lee Selby, the IBF champion, would be an interesting fight to see Oscar Valdez in and to really push his level and try to take his game up to that next level. And I think all those fights would be great, because for as long as they would last, they would be wildly entertaining. Moving on here, guys, to Saturday's boxing action. We had the WBO heavyweight title on the line between J.Parker, who was coming in as the WBO heavyweight champion, and the challenger H.Fury. Guys, very lackluster fight. We were looking for something big out of either man, and it really failed to show that. J.Parker, early on in the fight, was having a terrible time dealing with Fury's movement. Fury was popping a little jab, almost like a flickering jab, at times even poking him with the thumb of the glove, keeping Parker at bay, just putting rounds away. And then as the second half of the fight were to carry on into the second part, 6 rounds and up, Parker started bringing the action, looked like to Fury a little bit more, and was actually able to push the pace, land some decent punches, but nothing really big. I believe he landed, an uppercut in the 9th round. Let me just double check that here. Yeah, a nice uppercut in right hand, 9th round. Fury in round 10 at times gave Parker trouble, and in the 11th. I believe, Parker winning that 12th and final round. I thought the fight would be close. It could go either way. What I didn't expect was the crazy scorecards that came out of that fight. J.Parker retained his title, but he received two judges scored the fight 118-110 for J.Parker. That is outrageous. Another one scored at 115-113. I can see that, but 118-110 is just outrageous. But can't do anything about that. Nobody really made a big fuss about it. No outcry outside, seems like, for me and maybe a couple other really extreme fight fans. Outside of that, we just got to move on and see what's next for both men. H.Fury, we got to wait and see. I don't know if any guy really wants to fight him because he can be tough, and a style matchup can provide problems for a lot of guys, but he doesn't sell tickets. He's not that exciting, and he's dangerous, so he's going to have trouble finding an opponent. J.Parker, you'd like to see him fight and unify his WBO belt as well against either Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. Doesn't really show to be much of a threat, though, to either man. They're even talking about J.Parker fighting the winner of the David Haye-Tony Bellew 2 fight, which I think is his best chance to look good because David Haye is up there in age and Tony Bellew is an undersized heavyweight, to say the least. You just may see... excuse me. You just may see J.Parker look good against one of those two guys, but against Joshua and Wilder, no chance, no chance. Now, let's move to the final fight of boxing match, at least of the weekend, Saturday night HBO. Jorge Linares and Luke Campbell. A fight that I thought, watched the film on, and I thought Campbell was a very, very good opponent, but Linares was better than Campbell as being a very good opponent and a dangerous upset, trendy kind of upset pick. I thought Campbell wouldn't be able to take, I didn't think he'd be able to take Jorge Linares' power. And at the beginning of the fight, it looked like I was right. Linares was putting on a clinic, landed big shots, even at one point knocking Campbell down a round 2 with a huge right hand. Won rounds 3. Linares would wind up winning the next round, but after round 3, you saw Campbell starting to make a real comeback, giving Linares all sorts of problems. Just giving him shifty angles. Linares was trying to push his style, but at times you could almost see him trying to figure out how to get to Luke Campbell in a different way, having to reset and think about all of his combinations. And that caused Linares some trouble, even to a point where going into the 11th round, I had it a tie fight. But the 12th round, I had Jorge Linares winning that 12th round, giving him the 1-point edge. Plus, with the knockdown, I thought he did enough to retain his title. But boy, Luke Campbell was game. Linares did get the, like I said, he retained his title. He wound up retaining the title via decision. But man, and once you found out what happened to Luke Campbell losing his father, I believe it was 2 weeks before the fight, also having to relocate his training camp, I believe it was due to either Hurricane Irma. Yeah, I believe, it was a Hurricane Irma. Had to relocate with about 2 or 3 weeks to go in camp. So a lot of things going on in the Campbell corner. You have to wonder how he would have fared if he had more time to prepare. What's next for both men? Campbell, who knows, might fight the Burns, Ricky Burns, Anthony Crolla, Ricky Burns winner. Who knows, might be an exciting fight. I like Campbell. I'd like to see him fight again. For Linares, it's time to face the best of the best. Mikey Garcia recently threw out a tweet asking if we could get this done before Christmas because, quote-unquote, he liked to enjoy tamales. You'd love to see Linares fight Mikey Garcia or possibly even Vasil Lomachenko, depending on how Lomachenko's fight goes with Guillermo Rigondeaux. But, once again, we like to see another unification bout, and that would be Jorge Linares and Mikey Garcia. That would be the WBA, the Lineal Ring, I believe the Ring Magazine title, and the WBC title would be on the line in that fight. It would be an awesome fight. I think all fight boxing fans and just fight fans in general would love to see that fight. One last boxing news and note here from the World Boxing Super Series. The cruiserweight Junior Dortisos, can never say the name, defeated Dmitry Kudryashov in round 2 with a vicious KO, guys. You want to see this Yair fight some more. He's 22-0 with 21 knockouts. He advanced to the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series, the cruiserweight portion of it. Going to the semifinals. Can't wait to see who he fights next. And that would be it for at least a boxing recap this week, guys. Let's move on to MMA here. Friday night, you had UFC Japan taking place. The main event here, guys, will go kind of backwards with MMA and go in the card order. You had OSP defeat Yushin Okami via Von Flue choke, and that was OSP's second victory via Von Flue choke this year. OSP's looked good in his couple bouts this year, but I mean, what's next for him? It's really, there's no interest in seeing OSP, guys. He could fight maybe somebody in the top 5 of the light heavyweights. It's probably who it's going to be again, because that's really all that's left. The light heavyweight division's so weak that OSP's actually looking good right now in the UFC's light heavyweight division. The best fight of the night at UFC Japan, bar none, was Jessica Andrade and Claudia Gadelha. What a war between both these women. I thought Gadelha won the first round, and the next two, boy, did Jessica Andrade put it on Claudia Gadelha, and there was some epic exchange in this fight, guys. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Jessica Andrade looked better than I've ever seen her. Threw Claudia Gadelha around the ring at one point, almost looking like dropped an F5 on her at one time. Not to use that kind of lingo. I don't like using wrestling lingo when we're talking MMA here, but it was pretty crazy to see what Jessica Andrade did. She dominated her on the feet and on the ground, cruising to a points victory. And Andrade, some people were, what they want to see out of her next is a potential rematch with Joanna. I still don't see her giving Joanna any problems, but who knows? And Gadelha said she's taking a break. She's had 3 fights, or was it, I think 4 fights in a year, 3 fights in 9 months. She deserves a break. She's so active. She's one of the best in the world. We got to see Gadelha back in the ring again. Also, yes, that's it for covering MMA for the UFC Japan. Bellator 183 for an MMA note here. You saw the one thing I'll say, because the card really wasn't worth watching, guys, outside of Aaron Pico, who landed the phenomenal one-punch KO in his fight. That beautiful, beautiful left hook. You guys got to go check that out again. If you guys can check out the knockout, it's probably going to win knockout of the year, at least in the MMA portion of things. Aaron Pico looked phenomenal in his second fight. One of the best MMA prospects you've ever seen. If you haven't had a chance, go watch some Aaron Pico fights, guys. At least, well, don't watch the first one he had in Bellator, but this one, he looked tremendous. And Paul Daleys and Lorenz Larkin, I thought was going to be a good fight. It was okay, but Paul Daleys, boy, that left hand he connected with on Lorenz Larkin, guys, whew, he put him out. And I thought Lorenz Larkin was going to take control of that fight when Paul Daleys landed that left hook. Very exciting finish. One I really wasn't expecting. I thought Larkin was going to win the fight, watching the film before the fight took place. What do I want to see next out of both men? Lorenz Larkin, either go back to the UFC or fight another decent welterweight in Bellator. And as far as Paul Daleys goes, we have to see this match with Michael Venom Page. Enough of the trash talk. He just landed a spectacular knockout. We haven't seen Michael Venom Page grace any sort of combat sports in a while. It's time for Michael Venom Page to come back out, fight an opponent that actually has a name and has some skill level to him. Paul Daleys, that perfect opponent. They're both British. Bellator could line them up in England and have a big, probably maybe the biggest Bellator card ever if they were to put Daleys and they put Paul Daleys and Michael Venom Page on that same card, plus a couple other fights mixed in there. But I don't really think you need any other big fights, as Paul Daleys and Michael Venom Page would sell itself, guys. I would pay for that. That's the only pay-per-view fight I would pay for on Bellator, okay? That would be it. Now, that concludes the MMA wrap-up of the week. Now, looking to the coming week here, guys. We're almost at the end here. Nothing coming up this week. This coming week, nice break for us fight fans. Get 1 week off, and then we'll be back the weekend of, it'll be Saturday, October 7th with UFC 216. Can't wait for this fight, guys. You have Tony El Kukui Ferguson v. Kevin Lee, the Motown Phenom, I think going to be an awesome fight. A lot of people have told me otherwise. I can't agree with them. And you also have Demetrius Johnson looking to set the record for title defensives against Ray Borg, as they look to finally finish that fight that was supposed to go down at UFC 215 in Edmonton, but Borg couldn't make weight. We'll see if he makes weight for 216. And also on that October 7th, you have Anthony Crolla and Ricky Burns from the Manchester Arena. That is going to be a war. Cannot wait to watch that boxing match, guys. And that is it. That is it for the wrap-up this week, guys. Once again, I want to thank you for all the interaction. Follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube page. I appreciate everything. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page here. I got more content, more previews and predictions, of course, for UFC 216 and Crolla and Burns. My name is Carmen Colosimo, guys. Until next time, thank you for watching another weekend recap.